Hi everybody, welcome to tonight's class. As you all know, I've been a bit sick, so I will not be on camera tonight, but we are here for the project, which you will obviously be able to see. So we will work through it. If you can just please let me know if you can hear me in the comments, I would appreciate it. And of course, as always, we'll give it a couple minutes for everybody to join. I see we have Kim watching. Hi, Kim. Okay, so while we wait for everybody to join, we can switch over. I'm going to show you my desk view. So if you missed that, I am a bit sick. That is unfortunately why we had to postpone the live, so I do appreciate everybody accommodating that, and I do apologize. Okay, so tonight we're going to be making this super cute Father's Day box. So it's got like a little bit of a 3D effect going on, and I'm not sure if you can see that, but that is actually black glitter vinyl. So tonight we are going to be making more of a bougie one for that sort of out there dad. So we're going to be using a piece of Cricut Smart Permanent Vinyl. This is the Shimmer Gold. I think it's actually Shimmer Champagne. We're then going to be using an offcut piece of cardstock. So you can use any color, that's just the color that I had. And then you're going to need white and whatever other color you want. So you can see with this box, I went with a nice navy blue, and today we're going to be doing a red and a gold, so it's going to be completely different. And I'm not sure if you can see that, but there's actually debossing on the top, so we're going to add that little element in. And you can obviously do foiling, you can do pretty much whatever you want. So my number one tip when doing debossing is to use a mat that's not brand new. And the reason for that is obviously your debossing is going to press into your mat, and if it is brand new, you risk tearing or bending your cardstock. I'm then also going to be using a strong grip mat, and that is going to be for my shimmer vinyl. So I'm going to show you that. So let us jump into doing the project on Design Space. If you have any questions, you are more than welcome to leave them in the comments. If I don't get to them, then one of the lovely admins will. As always, this class is proudly sponsored by Cricut and Logitech. So let's jump into it. Okay, so we are going to search for a project. So this is a project that is on Design Space. It's ready to make. It's very simple. So we are looking for Father's Day Heart Box. And this is a project by Kat Madeira, who is one of Cricut's artists, and her projects are lovely. So if you want some nice projects to do, you can have a look at her profile. So we're going to say edit a copy. So Jennifer said that she's new here, she's very excited, she just couldn't find cardstock to actually join in, but she's going to watch along. Any help with getting cardstock in Sandton, Johannesburg? So I am actually a Durban girl, so I couldn't tell you where you could walk in and find it, but what you want to look for is AC Cardstock or Couture Creations. Another one is Fabiano. Those are all very good brands. If you can't find it in store, you can always look online at places like Takealot. They will definitely have it. Okay, so I see some people are saying the sound is quite soft. That seems to be a bit of a isolated thing. I will shout though, if that will help. So just give me 1 second. Okay, is that better? So when we did our last live class, if you joined in, you'll remember that we did the wood burning, and at the end of the class I actually turned the volume down so that I didn't kill everybody with the sound of the heat gun. So it was still down. It should be better now. Okay, so we have our project open, and the first thing I'm going to do is I'm actually going to resize my project. So if you have a look at the largest piece in the project, you'll see that it's only 18.32 centimeters, and on a standard mat you can cut up to 29.2 centimeters. So whenever you're resizing a project, always look at the largest piece of the project, and then you'll know how much bigger you can go. So when you're resizing a project, make sure that you select everything and then resize it. So I'm going to change mine to a 37 centimeter width. I'm so sorry about the sound, but I see everybody saying it's better now. Okay, so I've resized my project. I want it to be obviously a little bit bigger. I could actually even go bigger. So if we look at the largest part, you can see it's only 22.39, but I'm happy with this size. Another thing to take note of is how she has set this up on the canvas. So whenever I'm doing a project, I always like to have a look at the different pieces and sort of familiarize myself with it. If you have a look at the bottom, these are 22.39 centimeters long and they are 7.72 centimeters wide. If you look at these ones, it's only 22.55. So you can see that there is a slight difference in the length of them. And then if you look at the hearts, you can also see that those have a slight difference. So this is 13.73 and this is 13.52. So why that's important is obviously the way she set it up. She's showing you that these ones go together and these ones go together. So when we go to make it, we just need to make sure that we are putting the right heart with the right side pieces. And I'll show you again why that's important. Okay, then on the side, so if I move this, you can see that it moves the entire piece. So on the side, you can see we've got a little drop down. I'm going to open it up. And I'm going to select the tie and the piece that goes on top, and I'm going to duplicate that. So whenever I am going to slice something, whenever I'm going to add something in, I always like to duplicate my original piece so that I don't mess it up. Okay, so I've got this. We're going to just move this aside. And now we're going to do our debossing. So I'm going to set up my pattern for that. And to do that, I'm going to go to images, and you can see I've already typed in paisley pattern. And I just want to show you, so let's add that one in. I'm not going to use that one, but I just want to show it to you. A nice thing to do is to change it to draw. And again, I'll show you why. And we're going to use this one. Okay, so if I change this pattern that we've currently got to deboss, you'll see that it's going to draw all around it. So it's not going to give us a single line drawing, it's going to draw all around the outer edges of it. Whereas if I change this one to deboss, it's going to give us a single line drawing. So specifically with debossing, why that's important is if you have a very small image and you have a lot of different details, you're not going to get that nice clear defined debossing around it, because these lines, when it's very small, so let me show you. Okay, so when it's very small, the lines are actually going to overlap each other. So there, you can see they'll sort of overlap each other, and it doesn't look as nice. It's not clearly defined. So that's a nice tip for debossing, foiling, drawing as well. Okay, so what we're going to do is we are going to place this how we want it over our tie. And then on our side panel, we're going to select the tie and that, and we're going to slice it. And we've lost half of our pattern, so we're going to say Control Z. So that is one thing I noticed with drawing images. Sometimes you do lose pieces of it when you slice it. So if that happens, it's not anything that you've done. It just happens. So let's have a look for another one. I think I used this one previously. Okay, so we're just going to make this smaller because obviously we don't need a huge piece. Okay, so we're going to select our tar first, and then we're going to slice that. Actually, we're not. We're going to select the top piece. So the very top layer, which is the little piece that goes on top of the tar, this is this one. So let's just change it to a different color so that you can see. So we're going to select that one first. Now the reason I'm selecting that one first is because it's going to slice out of our top image, and then that piece of the top image is going to be gone. So we don't need that piece to be debossed onto the bottom piece of the tar because the top piece is going to be covering it. I hope I explained that well. Okay, so we're going to select that one, hold down shift, and we're going to select our floral square, and we're going to say slice. Then what we're going to do is we're going to select our tar, and we're going to select the square, which is now called slice result, and we're going to slice again. Then we can go and get rid of all the little pieces that we don't need. So what we need is we need one of the slice results for each of the elements. So you can see there the bottom one, I've got it. And you kind of just got to figure out which one it is that you want to keep. Then what we're going to do is we're going to change this to deboss. Be very careful not to move them. We're then going to also change this to deboss. We're going to grab them then. So now they are the perfect size for our, I'm going to group it just so that I don't move it around. So it's a perfect size for our tar and the little top piece of the tar. We're then going to go and we're going to put it over there. So let me just zoom in so you can see. Okay, so I'm just fitting it over. And then using my side panels so we can ungroup this, I'm going to select the top part and I'm going to select my debossing and I'm going to attach that. So remember, attaching takes multiple functions. Let's say Control Z. We got to detach this first. Ungroup, sorry. So remember, attaching takes multiple functions and it makes it work together on the same mat. If I had to weld this, it would become one item and it would not deboss and cut. It would do one or the other. Okay, so we're selecting both of those, we're saying attach, and then we're going to do the same for the tar. So we want both of these to still be individual items because obviously we're trying to get a 3D effect out of it, and that's why we've attached them separately. So this one we can just send it backwards. Okay, so we have our debossing set up. Your foiling you would do the exact same way. If you wanted to use a pen, you would do it the exact same way. So all of these would work exactly the same way. Karen gave the idea you could deboss the word dad down the tar. I really like that. And I honestly think that if we had foiled this, it would go perfectly with the colors that we're using tonight. So if anybody foils it, I would love to see. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is have a look at our color sync. So you can see that our tar and our box is a different color. I want it to be the same color. So I'm just going to drag that, put it in there. And then you can see that we've also got two different colors for the white. I want it to be one color, so I'm going to drag it and I'm going to put it in there. So that's an easy way, obviously, to sync the colors that you have on your canvas. If you want to, if you work visually better and you want to change it, you can change your red, and then you can grab all of your blues and you can drag it into the red. And that's not going to change your function. So let me just show you here. If I click on this, you can see that it says multiple and it's got a little cross through it, and that's because we have scoring and we have cutting. So doing it this way is very easy. You don't have to open up layers and manually change things. Okay, so it is very simple. You can do so many different things with this. So you can actually deboss the background instead of the tie. If you wanted to, you could deboss the background and then foil the tie. There's so many different things that you could do with it. Okay, so we are ready to go. We're ready to make it super simple. I think honestly that's one of the things I absolutely love about Design Space, is that there's so many projects that even people that have been doing it for a long time still find something new to do every day. So I'm very grateful to everybody that contributes. If you have ever joined any of our challenges, or even if you've just done some designing for friends and family and you've shared your projects, we appreciate you so much. Please keep doing it. Okay, so now I'm obviously working on my Maker 3 and I'm going to say make it. So I will save the project just to be safe. And I'm going to be doing it on matte. So I'm using a 30.5 by 30.5 centimeter matte. I'm going to say confirm. And then I'm going to mirror this. So if you have joined any of my cardstock classes before, you will have seen that wherever possible I mirror my designs, and the reason for that is that you get very nice clean edges. So if any of the corners nick, it's going to be on the back of your design, not on the front of it. So for the black one specifically, this one is the one that we're going to apply the vinyl to. This one you definitely want to mirror because you have a higher chance of having nicked edges. And then this one we're not going to mirror, and the reason for that is we're going to be debossing and we're going to be scoring. So this one will not be mirrored. Okay, then we can say continue. We can connect to our machine. Okay, so there's our inspiration. And we are going to connect. So I also do just want to show you, if you have never debossed before. Okay, so I've spoken about the difference between the scoring wheel and the scoring stylus before. So your scoring wheel obviously is a little wheel, and that is going to roll over your cardstock. It's not going to drag. So you will 90% of the time get a better result with your scoring wheel. The scoring stylus, if you're working with something that's a little bit more fragile, you have a chance of actually tearing your cardstock. So that's just something to be mindful of. So this is your debossing tip. So I don't know if you can see that. The light is very bright tonight for some reason. So it's actually got like a little like a rubber tip almost, so that it's not going to tear your cardstock. It's not going to it's not going to tear through it at all. So in comparison, that is your foiling tip. Your foiling tip is a metal tip and it is sharper. So if you tried to do these, if you tried to deboss with your foiling tool, there's a chance that you could actually tear your cardstock. And then the same for, let's see if we can get this out, the same for your engraving tip. I can't get that out now. It's in there. Okay, so the same for your engraving tip. That's got a very sharp tip. So if you tried to do debossing or anything on cardstock with that, you would tear it. So each of the tools is obviously designed specifically with their function in mind. So yeah, we do recommend obviously keeping with that. So there it is. It fits onto your quick swap housing, and obviously this is only available for Maker 3, Maker 4. Okay, so we're going to be using our scoring wheel, we're going to be using our debossing tip, and we're going to be using our fine point blade. So if you want to make this project and you only have an Explore, you can still do it. You can obviously just leave the debossing part out, or you can do the foiling, because remember, for foiling you can use any of the machines. Okay, so I do just want to show you on Design Space quickly. Okay, so you can see that for this one, it's going to want us to score first, then it's going to want to deboss, and then it's going to do the basic cut. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take our scoring tool, and we're going to put that into our machine, and that is going to go into clamp B where your blade goes. And for this I'm going to be using medium cardstock. Okay, so I have my scoring wheel and I'm putting it into clamp B. Take my blade out. And we're going to be using our red cardstock, and we're going to be using our older mat. So this poor mat has seen better days, but it's completely fine. An old mat is still a usable mat. Okay, we're going to let it score, and then obviously if this is, you know, your first time doing a multiple function thing, you'll see that the machine will actually stop, and then it will ask me to insert the next tool, and then it will continue. So when the machine stops, obviously you're not going to unload your mats. So Nadia was asking about the top of the tire. So there it is there. That is the little extra piece. Okay, so the machine's stopped. It's ready for me to insert my next tool. So without unloading, I just take the tool out, remove the tip. We're going to be doing the debossing now. We're going to put it in there, and all of this is on Design Space. So if you haven't seen it, there it is there. It's telling me to set up for the next step. It's telling me what tool to put in, and then it's telling me what to do next. Okay, so that's going to be debossing. So the one thing that you will need that I didn't mention is either double-sided foam tape squares, or what I have here is EVA foam or craft foam or crazy foam. They go by quite a few different names. So if you're going to be using this, then what I would suggest is having something like your Tombow glue that you can put onto either side. It is going to make it a little bit of a longer process because you're going to have to wait for the glue to dry, but it is a cost-effective way if you don't want to buy the double-sided foam tape. Double-sided foam tape if you don't want to buy that, or if you can't get your hands on some die cut and bond. So this is one that I speak about often. This is a piece of EVA that I have die cut and bond on either side, and I've explained this before. So the reason that I use this is because I used to make a lot of cake toppers, and when I needed the spacer rings for the shaker cake toppers, I would apply EVA foam onto both sides, die cut and bond onto both sides of a piece of EVA, and I would actually cut my rings out of that because I found that this sticks the best onto acetate and obviously onto other EVA. So instead of wasting, I actually use the middle pieces for double-sided tape, double-sided foam tape. So there's a couple different options you can use. So why are all of the wheels on the side of my machine? So I cut heavy chipboard and basswood, and when you cut thicker materials like that, you have to actually move them to the side, and it hurts my fingers to move them back, so I just never move them back. When you're working with something like cardstock or even vinyl, it actually is advisable to have them spaced evenly throughout your machine, and the reason for that is obviously it's going to hold your material down a little bit better. So I am living a little bit dangerously by having them all on one side, but obviously I do also just make sure that my material is stuck to my mat properly. If I notice that it isn't, then I will swap mats. So you shouldn't have them all to the side. I just have not moved them back. Yes, so Zelda said for foiling, if you leave it in the middle, it will leave little wheel marks all over your foiling, so that is something very important to remember. And then another thing I noticed was also with print then cut, especially if you're using a glossy photo paper, then you'll actually get little wheel marks on it. So there's a couple reasons you might want to change it, if not for specific materials. So I've put my fine point blade back in, and we are going to cut. So I actually had it once where I forgot to move my wheels, and I was engraving a big piece of perspex. It was an A4 piece of perspex, and it actually scratched little lines across the whole thing. And then also, so obviously the star wheels take up space. So if you're cutting something that's a little bit thicker, you risk getting it stuck in your machine if it goes under the star wheels. That has happened to me before. Or you risk causing an error. So I chose the longest one first so that we can get it out of the way and we can start assembling our box while the other things cut. So in the meantime, what I'm going to do, I have my vinyl and I have my cardstock. So one of the questions that I was asked previously is, can you apply the vinyl? So can you cut the vinyl separately and apply it to the cardstock separately? And you can. I just find that I'm always slightly off. And for this specifically, I want it to look like it is a glitter cardstock. So that's why I'm going to apply it first. So I'm just going to use this just to see that my sizing is good. Okay, so we are good here. We're going to test our cut. Looks good. We're going to unload. Okay, so if you haven't worked with cardstock before, always remove the mat from the cardstock. So what do I mean by that? Don't grab your design and pull it up, because then you're going to bend it. So you flip it over and you're going to remove the mat from the cardstock. Okay, so this is what I meant by using an older mat when you do debossing. So you can see, compared to the other pieces that I had on, that's pretty stuck on there. So obviously when it debosses, you can see it's like really on there. When it debosses, it's going to press it harder into the mat. So I don't know if you can see that, but that's really, really on there. Okay, so I'm going to roll my mat away from it, and I'm going to just nudge it off. And yes, you can snap your mat, so just be very careful with that. Okay, so we have all of our pieces there. we're going to apply this. Yes, so Zelda had a suggestion. You can keep older transfer tape that's not so sticky for if you want to apply cut vinyl directly to cardstock. So that's a very good tip. Another thing to remember is when you are applying vinyl onto cardstock, so let's say I was putting it onto here and it was a little heart that I was putting on, I would actually only press down where the heart is. So I wouldn't, you know, sort of rub the whole thing down, because then it is going to get stuck to your cardstock. So you kind of only want to press down where your design is. Okay, so I'm spreading out my vinyl. Okay, so I want to put it on this side. So what I'm doing is I'm thinking about when I flip this around and I put it onto my mat, which side is going to be on the corner that I'm going to cut. And obviously it's going to be this side. Okay, just make sure it's nice and straight, no bubbles. Not really winning on that one. There we are. Okay, so that's ready to cut. So now with this one, we need to remember that I've applied an extra layer to this. So where I used medium cardstock for this, this is not going to cut with a medium cardstock. So I'm going to have to apply, well, I'm going to have to choose a setting that is a higher cut setting. So the one that I found works for me is the craft board setting. Okay, so for this one we're going to be using our strong grip mat. And the reason for that is obviously our shimmer vinyl actually can move and we don't want it to move. I am being a bit risky by leaving the extras on, so I'm going to brayer it only where the vinyl is. You can see I'm not brayering it down there. I've chosen the craft board setting and we're going to let that cut. Okay, now we're going to separate our pieces. So that is for that, and we're going to put that there. So just make sure. And I'm not sure if you can see. Let me just. So there is our little debossed pattern. I don't know why the camera is so bad tonight. Either that or it's my eyes. But it's got a super cute little debossed pattern on it. Can we see it? And our little, this was our extra top piece. And that is going to go on top. So that's why I didn't need the pattern there, because I'm going to have the pattern there. Okay, so here we're just going to check to see that it cut through. It did, so we can unload. If it didn't cut through, what I would have done is I would have pressed the go button again and it would have cut again for me. There we are. And there I have a beautiful piece. So obviously the back is black and the top is our beautiful shimmer vinyl. We're going to move back to our not so sticky mat because we're doing a normal cardstock now. And remember, this one I asked for it to cut on mirror. So what I was doing now is I'm having a look at which is my textured side, because I want the textured side facing upwards. That's just a personal preference. So on my design I want it to be facing me. So on my mat I have to make sure it's facing down because my design was mirrored. And for this, I'm going to be using cardstock for intricate cut setting. And here we can see that one is slightly smaller than the other. So one is going to be for our bottom, one is going to be for our top. So we'll have a look at our mat to see which one is which. So Layla says she wants to cry when she thinks back 4 years ago how she used to throw away transfer tape that she had used once. So I have days where I'm just feeling super bougie and I'm like, I'm only going to use it once and I'm going to throw it away. But you can reuse Cricut's transfer tape, which is awesome. So you don't have to use it once and throw it away. Okay, now these are all of our pieces cut, and we are ready to start assembling. So the assembly is super easy. I will show you that, of course. It's a very easy, very satisfying project. I love the end result. Okay, so we have all of our pieces. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to jump back over to Design Space. And I'm just going to have a look. So the top of our box is 13.731. So I'm looking at the size. And the bottom one is 13.53. So the top one is the bigger heart and it's got the smaller pieces. And the bottom one is the smaller heart and it's got the bigger pieces. Okay, smaller heart, bigger pieces, bigger heart, smaller pieces. So here I'm comparing my hearts. This is the bigger one. Bigger one goes with the smaller pieces. Smaller one goes with the bigger pieces. So I'm going to put that aside. Okay, so what we're going to do, this has been scored along all of these. We're just going to press them down like so. And it's very easy because obviously it's already been scored. So you can see what I do is I am supporting right below where I'm about to press. So I'm holding it there, supporting it, and then I press down. What that stops it from doing is bending the bottom of our cardstock. So I'm kind of creating a support right where we're about to fold, where it's scored. And here, when I'm pressing, I'm applying pressure with my top finger, not with my bottom. And then we have a score line there. And then we're going to do the same for this one. So one of the things that I do try to be mindful of when I'm making something like this is what is on the outside of the box. So for instance, I am pushing these inwards, and you know with most cardstocks, most like AC Couture Creations, you have a what do you call this? I just lost my words. So you have a smooth side and you have a side that's not smooth. So what I want to do is I want to make sure that all of my sides are either smooth or not smooth, and my outside. Okay, so I'm going to be using Jewel Bond for this, and I'm going to start in the bottom corner. I'm just going to apply glue to one, like so. And I'm just going to line this up. So I want the middle or the bottom piece, this little fold, to be in the middle of the heart at the bottom, and I want to make sure that this is right at the edge of my heart like that. And then we can press down. Okay, just make sure it's all aligned where we want it. Perfect. And we're just going to wait for that to dry quickly. And then what I do, so you can see that I'm holding it like that so that I can apply glue to a couple other flaps. You don't want to do all of them at once because then it becomes more difficult to work with. It becomes more difficult to maneuver it. You start getting glue everywhere. Okay. And we're just going to go and we're going to line this up on the edge of the heart like so, and we're going to press down. Did I put glue on that one? I did. Once you've got it where you want it to be, you can just press from the bottom. And we're just going to go and do that for all of the little flaps. That one needs a bit more glue. So you can see I'm trying to get it as close to the edge as possible, just so that it's got a nice, clean, uniform look. So I don't know if you can see that I'm kind of just pushing it up and applying a little bit of glue onto the flaps. For some reason my glue feels a lot less sticky tonight. I feel like I worked a lot quicker with it earlier, but it's fine. So what would have happened, and I did actually do this previously, what would have happened if I'd glued both of these together and then tried to glue all of the flaps? You'll end up getting something like this where it's not actually lining up properly and you're getting all these little ridges, which I don't think you can see there. So it doesn't line up perfectly and you'll end up getting these little ridges that are sticking out. So you don't want to do that. Work slowly. It is a little bit longer, but the end result is a lot more satisfying. Oopsie. Don't put too much glue, because what will happen is it's going to squish out the edge like that one just did. And if that happens, just very quickly with your nail, get rid of the glue. It'll leave minimal glue behind. So Nadia says the glue is cold. And what I think is actually happening is when there's more moisture in the air, that obviously gets into the cardstock. That's what I'm telling myself anyway. I don't know if that's like a scientific thing. Maybe I just made it up. Okay. I'm just sort of maneuvering it to get it into the shape that I want it, and then pressing down. Oopsie. My glue's just being difficult tonight because on some places it's drying super quick, and then on other places it's just being a problem. I'm actually excited for this color combination, to be honest. I know a lot of dads wouldn't appreciate, but I know there's also a lot of dads who definitely will appreciate it. I've seen some dads with some really good style. So I'm excited for the color combo. Oopsie. Okay. Make sure it's all in there. Yeah, so the question was, if you do a project and it uses a bigger mat and you need to scale it down to a 30 by 30, how would you do that on the design? So again, the most important thing with any design is to make sure that you resize the whole thing together. So especially if it's a 3D design, if you start changing elements individually, you risk messing up the whole project. So a lot of these designs have been made with very specific measurements. Each of the elements is very specific. So make sure you select the entire project, or every element in the project, and then you would resize it down to ensure that the largest part of the design is not bigger than 29.2. So you'll see with mine, I went with a very specific measurement of 37. With some projects you might have to resize it 3 or 4 times. So you would resize it, go and have a look at the biggest element to see what size it is, and then if it was still too big, you would have to resize again. So yeah, with some it's a back and forth. Okay, so you can see some glue came out there, so I just scratch it with my finger so it goes away and it doesn't look messy. And I'm just pushing these top edges in with my nail like so. Okay, that's one side done. So now we're going to do the exact same for the other side. And what I do just want to do is make sure these are properly pressed down like so, because I think that's also why I was battling a bit, because it was pushing up against the box or pushing away from it. So I'm just pressing them down really nicely there so that they'll sit flat. Okay, so this one we're going to start from here. And the first thing I'm going to do is stick it to the little flap at the bottom. And obviously the flap goes on the inside because we want it to be nice and neat. So you can see when I put the glue on, it's not all the way to the edge. So what I always do is I take my next piece and I actually rub it against the glue. That helps to spread it out, and it also helps to get it right on the very tip. So I'm going to glue that on nicely. Make sure there's no glue sticking out. And then we're going to start the whole process again. So we just apply some glue to each of the little flaps. And if you notice, I actually do that thing where I rub the piece of cardstock. So I do it pretty much all the time. You can probably go back and watch and you'll pick up that I did it a couple times while I was busy with the other side. Okay, so if it's hard for you to maneuver how I have been doing it, you can also flip these up like so and apply it like that. I find it easier to maneuver it like this, like so. Okay, so you can see I am just pushing on each of the little flaps from the inside and outside with my fingers. Oopsie. So I see everybody in the comments talking about sewing clips. I did miss where that conversation started, but I'd love to know more about these sewing clips. So I'm going to come back and read all of that later. Get some clips to hold the first part while you glue the rest. Works like a charm. So I've picked up on the conversation. So what I actually do is you get bamboo pegs, and the nice thing about the bamboo pegs is that they actually don't have ridges, so it's flat where it connects together. So it's really great for 3D projects. You can clip it on and you're not going to ruin your work. So that's what I use, bamboo pegs, like normal clothes pegs. Yes. Okay, we're on to our last little piece. Okay. You can see anywhere that I've got a little bit of glue, I just scratch it away with my fingers so that you can't, or my nail, so that you don't see it. Okay, and then this is important. So this little middle piece, you're going to fold your flap backwards. So it's going to actually connect underneath there, like so. So we can actually glue that. So, and then just make sure this is nice and glued in place, like so. And there you have the lid of your box. Super simple, super simple. So I cheated. I've actually already made the bottom of the box. You're going to follow the exact same thing that we did with the top of the box. So here's the pieces here that I cut. I actually did this before the class, exact same way. I just thought I would save you some time and some energy. So remember the top of your box, easy way to remember it, smaller heart, bigger pieces, bigger heart, smaller pieces. Okay, so that's how you're going to remember which one goes where. And then the top of your box is the smaller piece and the bottom of your box is the bigger piece. I did say I would tell you why that was important. So with the one that I did not realize that there was two different sizes, and I actually used the bottom or the top as the bottom and the bottom as the top. So it works, but what happens is it actually pushes into the box like so. So not great. Here you can see that it sort of overlaps and leaves a line. So your bottom piece is going to be the one with the big pieces and the smaller heart, and the top piece is going to be the bigger heart with the smaller sides. Very easy. Okay. So now we're going to assemble the top piece. I'm so excited for this color combo. So this part's super easy. We're not going to be using glue. We're going to be using our double-sided tape and some scissors. So another thing I love about this is I can cut it to any size that I want, and it does make it a lot easier for me. Okay, so I don't want that piece. Another thing that's really nice, which I haven't done today, is you can actually color code it to your project. So I haven't done that today. What I'm going to do is I'm going to stick it inwards. So it's not going to be right on the edge. I'm going to stick it inwards, and it's going to be a lot less noticeable on the finished project. So we've had some bad luck with the classes where we haven't been able to finish our projects. And I thought I would save all of us the heartache and I would prepare. And I see it's almost 8 o'clock, so I think I'm actually right on time, which is great. So this is the middle piece of our shirt. What is it? It's a shirt. That's our shirt. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put another little piece in the middle here for, what do you call that? Support. And then I'm just going to line this up on our heart. So the middle piece goes obviously in the middle at the bottom, and the top piece lines up with the top. Super simple. There we are. And then we're going to do the same for our little edges. So another thing that I like about keeping all of them the same way, so again, one side's smooth, one side's textured. That's the word, textured. So one side is smooth, one side's textured. Keeping them all textured or all smooth helps me to know exactly which way they go, and I'm not going to get confused. So there's another little tip. That's kind of how I always figure out which way my items need to go. So these are the collar pieces. So funny story, Nadia is hyping me up in the comments, love you. But so Nadia actually did a class recently, a masterclass, an in-person masterclass, which was loads of fun. And she did a Father's Day box. So I did a Father's Day box for this class, and it was not this box. And only afterwards I realized that I'd seen that box before, and I was like, I think this is Nadia's box. So I actually had to redo the class. So don't listen to her. She is amazing and she makes amazing projects. And also on that note, if you have the chance to visit or to join, let's say to join an in-person masterclass, it is so much fun. You definitely have to do it. You learn so much. So obviously there's different teachers, and we all have our own little tips and tricks that we use when we're doing certain projects or cutting things. So there's always something to learn. The advanced ones, so obviously if you're a beginner, go for a beginner one. If you are more advanced, then go for an advanced one. And if you have the chance to go for more than one advanced one, I would definitely do it. It's loads and loads of fun. I have 2 ladies in Durban who come to almost every single advanced class, and I have so much fun with them. And so I'm just lining this up with the edges, making sure it's all where it needs to be. And then we're going to do our tie. I must admit, I love this color combo. Like, I'm in love with it. I wasn't sure. I thought it would be a bit too much, but I actually love it. So you can have a look, you can just Google it, AC Cardstock. That's the one that most of us use. Yeah, there's a lot of places. So maybe Google AC Cardstock, Johannesburg, and I'm sure you'll find some places that have it. I'm just using my tweezers. This piece is a little bit dramatic for a tie, but it's fine. Okay, so the reason I use my tweezers is that it helps me to see better. So it helps me to line it up better and make sure that my fingers are not in the way and causing me to put something skew, which I've done very often. So that's why I use my tweezers. Let's just make sure that's all lined up. There we are. How cute is this? I love it. Sorry, hyping myself up. we're just going to stick that there. So you see, if you don't stick it right on the edges, then it's a lot less noticeable when you look at it from the side, and you can get away with having very weird cut pieces and green on red. But if you could color code it, that would be amazing. So I don't know if you can see that, this light again. Let me see if I can adjust the light a bit. I don't know if that's going to help. I just made it a bit darker, so it's not, I don't know if you can see it, but I will definitely share an image or a picture, a photo, a photo on the group tomorrow of both of these projects, so that you can obviously see the color combos and you can see the debossing on it. And then you'll see why I didn't need the pattern on the top of the tie as well. So speaking about cardstock, because I see there's lots of comments regarding cardstock. So I just bought the 100 pack, which we all know is Happy Mail, and I was so sick that I just put it on my desk and I went and I lay down. So that gives you an idea of where I've been this past week. I love this color combo. Absolutely gorgeous. Wow. And there we have it. So that is our gift box, and you can fill this with treats. We had a conversation this week regarding those what do you call them, biscuit tins that you always open them and there are sewing supplies in it. So if Dad's been exceptionally terrible this year, fill it with sewing supplies. You have my permission. So there we have them. And I must say, I absolutely love the red and gold. I think that is the color combo for me. But I'd love to know which one you love. And I'd love to see everybody's version of this. I'm very excited to see if somebody foils. So please, no pressure. If somebody could make one with foiling, that would be amazing. I appreciate everybody waiting until today for me. I hope that it was not too difficult with my voice. I can hear that I'm still not good, but I appreciate all of you, and I hope tonight's class was very informative, and I hope that it was worth the wait. I can't wait to do this with you again soon, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your evening.